the chance to test out the Sony A7RV for 2 weeks, and today I want to answer the question, is the Sony A7RV capable for wildlife? Should you consider picking it up, or is it going to be the replacement for my A7 IV? Normally I would record these videos inside of my flat, but today it was such a beautiful day, so I decided to just go out in the nature and record this little video for you. First of all, what is the Sony A7RV? Instead of a normal Sony Alpha camera, you have the R. The R series from Sony is based on resolution, so these cameras are having the highest megapixel counts of all Sony cameras you can pick up. Normally you say resolution cameras, R cameras, are for pictures or stills, and S, like the A7S3, are for videos. And normally you can also say that the A7 series, like my A7 IV or the A7 III I had before that, are hybrid cameras, so they are equally good at stills and also at videos. But today we're talking about the R5, which is the latest addition to the Sony R series. This camera has a Bionz XR processor sensor, which has 61 megapixels. Just in comparison, my A4 has 31 megapixels, so it's nearly double that. And the camera I had beforehand, the A3, had 24 megapixels, so it's nearly triple the amount of megapixels I had before, and you really see it if you take pictures with it, that the quality is amazing. So you can crop, you can zoom in very, very far, and the quality you get out of this camera is really amazing. As I said before, normally you don't use these kind of cameras to capture videos. Normally you use the S series to take videos, but I also filmed some videos with this camera because this can record in 4K 60p and 8K 30p, and especially the 8K, even though you only get 30p, is a really nice resolution, because even though, like in wildlife photography, that's most of the time the animals are far away, you are getting a really sharp and crispy video, which you can crop in, for example, half time, and you still have 4K resolution, and then you can crop another time and you still have 1080p, so you can get really far reach with this camera also in video. Really nice camera also for video, so don't get biased by R is just for photo, S is just for video. This camera can do video too, and it's really great at it. One thing I also really like about the R5 is that it has the same body as my A4, so I'm used to it. And one thing that got implemented with the new A4 and the R5 is the little toggle switch underneath the selector on top. So on top you can select between manual mode, aperture prior mode, auto mode, and underneath it you have the switch to change between photo, video and S&Q mode, which is really nice implementation. Really like it, because then you don't have to turn the swivel wheel on top a full circle like on the A3. Overall, the body of the R5 is nearly the same as the A4. The only thing you have is the flip screen. You cannot only flip it out and tilt it to the side and to the front like on the A4. You can also tilt it up and downward like you could like it was possible on the A3, which honestly is something I wouldn't need, because most of the time I shoot video, I'm shooting with external monitor, and if I'm shooting photos, I'm using the viewfinder on top. So not nearly necessary for me, but it's a cool feature, nice to have, and maybe I'll need it someday. The Sony A7RV lets you shoot up to 10 frames per second in RAW, in both compressed RAW and in uncompressed RAW, or in lossless compressed RAW. In comparison to the A4, on the A4 I could also shoot 10 frames per second, but only in compressed RAW. So if I wanted to shoot uncompressed RAW, which normally I'm not using, I would only get 6 frames per second. But in my opinion, I don't need uncompressed RAW, to be honest, because I think it's not worth getting a little bit more resolution for the file sizes you get, because I can show you the file sizes of the R5 for all the different types of RAW you can shoot, and I don't think it's worth filling up hundreds of megabytes or even gigabytes with video material or photo material just to get this little bit of resolution more. So I always shoot in compressed RAW. All of the photos you ever saw from me were shot in compressed RAW, and so I'm used to getting the 10 frames per second, which is really nice if you want to capture some fast wildlife. But just to let you know, you can also shoot 10 frames per second in uncompressed RAW, which was not possible on the A4. So if you want to do that, the R5 is the camera for you. One of the biggest and important things on a camera is the autofocus. I think most of the people who are photographing are using autofocus. Using manual focus is something you need to get into it, and it can be quite challenging at the beginning. So I am lucky because I'm also an autofocus user, because the autofocus on the R5 is amazing. The autofocus on the A4 was already quite a big step up from the A3, because the A3 did not have AI-based autofocus. So now both of these cameras, the A4 and the R5, are having AI-based autofocus, which is already pretty fast on the A4, but it's lightning fast on the R5. And the R5 can not only detect humans, animals and birds like the A4, can also detect something like insects, trains, airplanes, cars. All of the different subjects you want to frame can be detected by this camera, and once the camera locks onto something, it stays on. I was photographing ducks at a nearby lake with my A4 when I got the 70-200 as a new lens, and I saw the bird eye or the duck autofocus on the eye. It was quite reliable, but oftentimes it just didn't detect the eye, so it jumped off, and I had my normal square in the middle where I'm focusing. And then I tried the same thing with the R5 a few days ago, and it also instantly locked on the eye of the duck, and even though it lost the focus on the eye, it stayed as a whole box around the duck, and so the photos are really crispy sharp. I took them with the 200-600 because the ducks were far out on the lake, and the photos are really nice. You don't really see a difference between the f2.8 from the 70-200 on the A4 and the 6.3 on the R5. So the resolution does make a difference, and I'm really glad that I can try out this camera, because it's a really nice product, and maybe it's going to be my new camera soon. So what is my final conclusion about the Sony A7RV as a wildlife photography camera? Honestly, I can't say much more that I'm really impressed about the camera. I really want to pick it up if it wouldn't be at the hefty price tag of 4,500 euros. But maybe in the future it's going to be my new wildlife camera. I'm definitely enjoying the time I have with it, and I still have a week left, so I hope I can find some cool animals in the future so I can still take some pics with it. Even though, if you want to pick up this camera and you have the budget for it, why not go for it? If you don't have the budget, the A4, which is my main camera, is a great solution, a great alternative for wildlife photography. I love it as well. Even though, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more of me and my videos, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.